Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to, of course, week number 5. I know that a number of you have already posted your thoughts and your ideas in the discussion. So this week, we're asking you for your perspective, right, on forensic serology or DNA analysis is more reliable when processing evidence in a criminal case. I wanted you to explain your response. So it's more than just a yes or no, right? I really am looking for you to expand upon, when we look at serology, and this is going to be apart from the DNA analysis because, but the serology, whether it's like in dealing with this week's Unit 5 assignment, we're talking about a scenario in which, you could have metal shavings, you could have paint, fibers or flakes, we want to look at how do we break that down. Serology is the study of that composition. Where do we get the answer, right? Whether it's chemical tests, it's breakdowns, as I think I've explained in week 1 or 2, within the FBI houses the largest collection pretty much of a lot of things in the world. Firearms, yes, bigger than the ATF. But we're talking about like when they are trying to identify, and they've done this for decades, trying to identify the ink that comes out of a pen. That are they able to identify? I mean, you're talking the days of ink, fountain pen ink. That's what I'm holding here. Yes, I love my fountain pens. Matter of fact, I have my actual feather pen. Which is interesting because you think about all the things that go into trying to identify when they would write a note. Whether it's in now the 20th and 21st centuries, we had typewriters, and they were able to identify the type of ink that was in a ribbon for a typewriter. And then the keys, the letters, they could even tell, even though, say, it was a specific type of font from a typewriter, different typewriter companies had different little eccentricities. And so the FBI was able to catalog that. Here we are in the 21st century. If somebody prints off a paper from the printer, what can they do? Well, they can still talk about, and they break down, this is part of serology, they can break down that ink and at least identify maybe a manufacturer, the paper, what kind of paper it was. So I know more and more in the 21st century, in this day and age, it becomes a little bit more difficult. But you think about the work that everything that we're able to break everything down into chemical analyses. It's the same thing that we had done when I worked at the Terrorist Explosive Device Analytics Center. And I think I've explained this several times. We would get whether it was already exploded ordnance or it was disarmed. If it was, if it had, like, say, a pipe bomb and it had a trigger device cell phone hooked to it in order for it to be command detonated, meaning somebody could call the number, press a certain button because they program it the way that they want it in order to safe arm to explode, and then to explode the trigger command. But we would have teams of scientists that would look at, and I say scientists because that's exactly what they are, metallurgy. We would see, if they had to drill holes into the pipes, we're able to go, okay, this pipe, honestly, we were able to find this pipe was sold at Home Depot. And this is the lots that this specific one was sold to, so we could narrow down. We could see the tool marks, if any kind of pliers, drill bits, or anything like that. If we ended up raiding a home, having a search warrant, we would take tools because then we could match up what kind of tool used to crimp that wire. Yes, that's where the microscopes get involved. I mean, really, the lookup tool marks analysis. And I know that within our book, we even talk about it within the textbook. So, this is where I really love this type of topic, and I want you to be thinking about getting highly technical. So when we ask just that question, do you believe that forensic serology or DNA analysis, let's even bring that in, is more reliable when processing evidence in a criminal trial? Meaning, will that evidence stand better scrutiny than if you were to just introduce it without testing? Let's think of it that way. The days of, we're seeing time and again when we bring DNA analysis, DNA that either exonerates or finds somebody guilty of a crime that happened 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago based on the DNA evidence. It's because, yes, our testing is getting a lot better. The equipment is definitely a lot better. And that there's always an evolution. You think about the way DNA has gone since the 1980s. And, even if you follow the Innocence Project, where it has exonerated individuals who, within court, they didn't have the evidence of DNA. It was circumstantial, sometimes circumstantial at best. It really made the person look guilty. But then when we came time to really be able to test DNA or other using serology, testing other things, that they say there is no way that the DNA left on the victim, which was tied to, say, the victim being murdered and raped, or vice versa, there's no way that DNA came from this person. They may not have had the correct or the ideal DNA analysis even back in the 80s, but now that it's become so, really highly credible, they're able to do that. So that's why I asked this question. And I really appreciate the explanations that many of you have given. So with that, I'm going to end it here. I do want to invite you for Saturday morning, 10 a.m., August 6th, tomorrow, to attend our live chat. I'll be it's our midterm. I know week 4 was last week, but I wanted to give time to be able to talk about, because in our first one, I did talk about units 2, 3, and 4, for a little bit, and then of course with the lectures. So I kind of expanded this one a little bit and went into week 5. But this week, I'm going to be talking about Unit 5, Unit 6, and even parts of Unit 7 topics. This way, as we go into, because we'll also be having our end of course live chat near the end of week 7, where I will talk about week number 8 material. If you have questions, concerns, thoughts, and you want me to bring them up during this collaboration session, try to get it to me early tomorrow morning on Saturday morning. This way I can incorporate it, or at least have it in my notes that I want to approach this subject based on one of you asking for it. So with that, I just really can't encourage you all enough to continue to do research, to really support what you're conveying, that you're adding evidence, you're adding examples. It really goes a long way in pushing not only your knowledge, but the knowledge that of your peers. So with that, have a great rest of your day. Take care.